All right, we need to practice making sure we understand how to solve by elimination, or they call it linear combination. The first thing you need to do, though, is you need to look through, and I've said this over and over, the first thought process you have is look at your system. Is there a letter that when I go to, if it'll right here, there we go. If I draw my line right here to combine them, is there a letter that automatically disappears? Yes, the x's. So I will cross them out. I come up with negative 7 plus 3, which is negative 4y, equals 28 minus 12, which gives you 16. Divide by negative 4, y equals negative 4. Now, choose one of the two original equations. So I'm going to have 6x minus 7y equals 28. We know that y is negative 4. So you're taking negative 4 and you're going to put it in here into your equation. So you get 6x minus 7 times, that's the biggest thing. This says 7 times y, so you're taking 7 times negative 4, and that equals 28. 6x. Negative 7 times negative 4 is positive 28 equals 28. Subtract 28 from each side. 6x equals 0. When you divide by 6, x equals 0. Your solution is 0, negative 4. Because if you put this 0 in for x, negative 4 into y into that top equation, it will equal 28. If you put it in here for the second equation, it will equal negative 12. That's how you can check, is by plugging it in. All right, the second one. Right here on this one, as we go through, is there a letter that when I draw my line right here, that they cancel out and make 0 the way it is? There is not. We have to do something. So the next thing you look at is there a variable where they are the same? Yes, what letter look exactly the same? The y's. One of them needs to be a negative, though. So I'm going to rewrite, and I'm going to multiply the bottom one by negative 1. Now, you could have done the top. It doesn't matter. So as I go out here, I've got 12x plus 3y equals 18. Now, I'm redoing the bottom. Negative 1 times 5, negative 5x. Negative 1 times 3y, negative 3y. Negative 1 times 4 equals negative 4. Now, when you go to put it together, well, 12 minus 5 is 7. 3y minus 3y, those cancel now. 18 minus 4 is 14. Divide by 7. X equals 2. Again, I fill out my ordered pair before I ever go on. Now, choose one of the two equations. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to choose this one right here just because it looks like smaller numbers. That's my only thought process, not that it makes a difference. So I know that x equals 2. What we're also running into is people are messing up on the problem because they're picking equations, or they're not writing the right equation down when they rewrite it. X is 2. Putting that in here for x. Now this says, this is the other mistake. Some people will do this. What's the mistake? What have they done wrong? Is that supposed to be 2 right here? It's supposed to be 5 times 2, right? 5 times x. So be careful. But that's one of the mistakes I find. Then I've got 10 plus 3y equals 4. I'm going to subtract 10 from each side. 3y equals negative 6. When you divide by 3, y equals negative 2. If we look at the next one. All right, as I look at the next one, is there a letter that when I draw a line right here, they cancel out right away? Nope, no way. Is there a letter that looks exactly the same? The Y's don't look exactly the same. Do they have a 2 in front of it? No. So my next thought process is there a variable that one is positive, one is negative? The Y's are. What number needs to be up here to make the Y's make 0? A 2. That's how I choose what I multiply by. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by 2. Now, the question was, does it have to be a negative 2? And that's where people were getting mistakes as well. Because this one's already positive and this one's negative, you don't have to do a negative 2. So now when you rewrite it, you get 4x plus 2y equals 12. We didn't do anything to the bottom one, so I'll just rewrite it. Now you can go from here. Now, if I have time, I'll come back. But right now, I want to move on because I need to get to certain problems. Let's look at this one. First thought process. Is there a letter that when I draw my line automatically cancels out? There is, isn't there? The Y's. Let me show you what happens now. Here's a mistake that I've seen over and over. They're going to tell me this. What did they do wrong? They didn't add the x's. This is x and x, so this is 2x. Be careful. I've seen that over and over for a mistake. You divide by 2. X equals 16. See, this one ends up being easier because now choose one of your 2 equations. X plus y equals 22. I found x to be 16, so you put 16 in here for x. So I get 16 plus y equals 22. If you subtract 16, y will be 6. All right, I'm not going to do all of this one, but my thought process is, number 1, is there a letter that automatically disappears and makes 0? Nope. Is there one where one's positive, one's negative? Yeah. The Y's are. But what number needs to be up here to make 0? It needs to be a 10. What can I multiply by 2 to get to 10? A 5. You could also just think 10 divided by 2. So multiply the top equation by 5 and rewrite it out here to the side. All right, let me skip to the next one. Hint, hint, hint. You're going to see this question again. Listen to my question for you for this one. If I want to get rid of the x's, if I want, just watch for a second to get rid of the x's. What do I multiply by the bottom equation? Don't answer yet. So if I wanted to get rid of these x's, what would I have to multiply the bottom equation by in order to make that happen? First off, it has to have a 4. It has to match right here, right? But some of you are telling me negative. Why? Right now, these 2 are negative. You need to change this to a positive, so you have to multiply by a negative 4. Correct. Your answer would be negative 4. Then you're going to have, the next question will say, if I want to get rid of the y's. What number do I multiply the top equation by? Okay, so this time when you're looking, you're only looking at the top equation. You want to get rid of the y's. One is positive, one is negative already. That's good. So you just want it to be a 5. Is there one way that's the only way? No, you can do it either way. So, and again, you need to solve this problem. I want to show you what type of questions you could have or see on a quiz or a test. Let's see, how many more of these do I have? Oh, just 2 more. Okay. All right, look at this one. Is there a letter that automatically disappears and cancels out? No, because if I draw my line right there, nothing does. Now, let me ask you this. Is there an easy whole number that you can multiply by 3 to get to 7? No. What about 2 to get to 8? You have 4. Do I need to change the sign at all? No. I would multiply the bottom equation by positive 4. All right, now look at this next one. I want you to think a minute. My thought process always was, is there a letter that automatically disappears? Cancels out. None of them do, right? Because that gives you 5x and 1y and stuff like that. Is there a letter where one's positive, one's negative? Yes. Well, can I multiply anything nicely that goes into 4? 3 times something gives you 4? No. Can I multiply anything by 2 that's nice, even numbers to give me 3? No. When this happens, you can also figure out what you can do to multiply both equations by something. Here's the easiest way. See how this one's negative and this one's positive? Switch the numbers. Take this 4, multiply the top equation by it. The bottom equation, take this number, the 3, and move it here. So basically, look, I want to get rid of the y, so I move that number here, or I don't move it, but I multiply the equation by that. You see what I did? Okay, I want to get rid of the y's. One's negative, one's positive, so I take this 3 and multiply it by the bottom equation. This, and then I'll take a 4 and multiply it here. This is y. When we rewrite it, 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times negative 3y is negative 12y equals 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Well, down here, 3 times x, 9x. 3 times 4 plus 12y. 3 times 24, what is that? 72. Because you swapped these numbers and multiplied, what letter cancels out now? The 12y's. And then you can go from there. All right. All right, right here on the word problems, because you're going to have that. Remember, we have a quiz coming up. It says there's a jar that contains N nickels and D dimes. There are 20 coins in the jar, and the total value of the coins is $1.40. Write a system of equations to determine how many dimes are in the jar. All we're going to do is write the system. We're not going to solve it. First off, what are the two things they're talking about? Nickels and dimes. You can use X and Y if you want, but I'm going to use N equals the number of nickels. You must define your variables, guys. D equals the number of dimes. Now, before I move on, I'm going to make sure I don't mess this up. How do you write a nickel as a decimal? It's 0.05. The biggest mistake is that people put 0.5. 0.5 is 50 cents. A dime is 0.10. Okay, now, it says the number of coins in the jar. Doesn't talk about dollar values, so you're going to take nickels plus dimes, and that equals 20. It says the value is $1.40. So you're going to take 0.05 times your nickels plus 0.10 times your dimes, and that equals $1.40. There's your system, and what you can do is use elimination, like multiply the top equation by negative 0.1 to find it out, but you don't have to do that for this one. We're just setting them up right now. Let's look at the next one. Maybe. There we go. 358 tickets were sold to a basketball game last Friday night. Student tickets were $1.50 and non-students were $3.25. The total profit from ticket sales was $752.25. Write a system to determine determine the number of student tickets and non-student tickets were sold. First, to define your variables, it's telling us right here what to find. Student tickets and non-student. So, you can do X, Y, S, and N. I'll do X equals the number of student tickets. Y equals the number of non-student. Now, I like to go through and put my dollar amounts next to it. How much are the student tickets? Student tickets are $1.50. Non-student, $3.25. Now, how many total tickets did they sell? 358. So you're going to have X plus Y equals 358. Now, the total profit, you have to put the dollar amounts with it. So you're going to have $1.50 times the student tickets plus $3.25 times the non-student equals $752.25. Let's try number 11. The difference between the length and the width of a rectangle is 2 units. The perimeter is 40. Write a system to determine the length and the width. Okay, you're always going to see this. They're not going to use X and Y. They're going to put L equals the length, W equals the width. This one is always the same formula. Perimeter is 2L plus 2W. So when it says the perimeter is 40, you're going to write 2L plus 2W equals 40. One of the other equations says the difference between the length and the width. What does difference tell you to do? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Subtract. The difference between the length and the width. Length minus the width is 2. Now, technically, because it's not that big a deal which one's the length and which one's the width, you could have put W minus L. It's just saying between the two of them, the difference is 2. So, I mean, width can be longer than length, and length can be longer than width. You don't have to be that picky. Number 12. Let me see, how many of these do we have? A couple more? Okay. There. All right. If you have not done this already, take a minute and circle which answer you think it is. Answer these other ones. So on this one, the first thing I always look for is where it says like the perimeter is 90. 2L plus 2W equals 90. Well, that one has it. A does. Does B have it? Nope. C? Yeah. What's wrong with D? It doesn't have a 2 in front of the L. What about E? Nope. The reason we use a 2 for perimeter means to add up the sides. Right? So that means 2L and 2W. The first sentence up here says the length is, twice means to multiply, so it's 2 times the width. You should have come up with C. The next one. An algebra test has 25 problems. Some are worth 2 points, some are worth 3 points. The test is worth a total of 60 points. Determine the system. All right. If it has, first off, we've got X being the 2 pointers. Well, you don't even know that for sure right now. I mean, when you write it, you can make X the 2 pointers, Y the 3 pointers. But it says that it has 25 problems. That means if you add the amount of problems, the 2 point and the 3 point, you get 25 problems. This says X and Y, it has a minus sign at 60. This is not right. X plus Y is 60. No. Right here it says X minus Y. Well, that's the 2 pointers and the 3 pointers. If you subtract them, it's 25. No. Just from that sentence alone, you could have gotten your answer. D. Next one. As you go through and see this, I see perimeter is 40. 2L plus 2W equals 40. Right here, there's not 2's on the L and W. Look, the L is missing a 2, not D. That one works. That one not so much, and this one. All right, so now I'm down to A and C. The length is 3 times the width. Your answer should be C. Is this the last one? Yeah. All right. You have 28 coins that are all nickels and dimes. The value is 205. Okay, nickels plus dimes. You have 28 coins. That's your first one. N plus D is 28. Yes. N plus D, 28. Oh, they all have that, don't they? Now, when you talk about the value, remember, nickels, 0.05 times the nickels plus dimes, 0.10 times the dimes is 205. What's wrong with this one? This one says it's 10 cents times a nickel. Or it actually says 10, not even a cent. This isn't right. This one, they did not even put the dollar amounts on there, like the 0.05 and the 0.10. Well, wait a minute. This is 10 times N. N is a nickel. Now, here's what I see. See these two right here? What's the difference between them? The decimals, right? If I move my decimals 2 places back on each one of them, 2 places to the right, I would get 5 times the nickels plus 10 times the dimes and 205. That's how they got that answer right there. You don't know when we come up to the end of course exam if they'll have problems with the decimals or not. But you look and eliminate what you can and then try and figure out how they got those answers possibly to make sure that you have the right one.